Alright guys, what we need for this installation is a 12, a 14, 17, 19, torque wrench, rubber mallet, some tape measure. You can use sockets as well. I have all my sockets there, some extensions just to make the work a little easier. We're going to first take the 3 14s off the top. These two 19s right here, this one, and there's a 12 in the back for the brake line. Okay. Now that we have all the tops loosened, I kept one nut on so that the shock tower doesn't completely come down. We're gonna move all the way down here. Number 12 for the back right here. Another nut came out. Take the brake line off the bolt, and then we're going to take these 19s out. It's pretty easy. You want to make sure you have one side holding it, and you want to double check. You see this top bolt right here, it has a little arrow pointing outwards. This is actually to adjust the camber, so you want to make sure you put this top bolt back to the top with the arrow facing in. After we took off the top bolt, we're going to take off the bottom bolt. Basically the same procedure, but the bottom bolt, you just need to make sure you're holding it in place. Pry bar, get this coilover free. Then we'll want to loosen this top nut right here and then catch the coilover from the bottom. So that's exactly what we'll do. Okay. I went with the Fortune 500s, the Fortune Auto 500s. I'm going to quickly show you what I got going on here. Wow. These things are hand-built each time. We'll go to my office real quick. My Fisher Price table. These are Fortune 500s. They don't come preloaded, so you need to set the preload yourself. EVOs come stock with McPherson strut, so I'll show you guys when we get back to the car. It's not double wishbone, so it's McPherson. So what we're first going to do is preload the spring. They don't come preloaded from the factory. Alright, what you want to do is first measure from the top of the spring to the bottom of the spring, and we have approximately a 7-inch spring right here. So what we're going to do is we need to bring this up a 1/4 of an inch to set the preload. You want to use the 5mm Allen key that they provided. Loosen this Allen nut, this hex nut. The way to lock this is to actually tap this with a screwdriver. The install is basically the same as the removal. Basically gonna slide this in from the bottom. I placed the coilover back in, we got the bolts back in. We're going to mount this brake line to the hole that they have back here. For the fronts, you just tighten these 14mm bolts to 33 foot-pounds as per the Mitsubishi manual. And for the dampening, we're gonna dial it in in the future. I'm also gonna do the other fronts. I'm not gonna show you that. This is pretty simple. It's 3 bolts up here, 12 millimeter bolts for the brake line, and the two 19 millimeter bolts. You want to make sure you keep the camber bolt, the upper camber bolt, facing inwards. The lower camber bolt does not matter. And these 2 bolts down here are 52 foot-pounds. I'm gonna do the other side, and then you're gonna join me for the rears. All right, guys, we're finally onto the rears now. What you want to do is expose the back part of your trunk. The tops of the coilovers are over here. You got one here and one on the other side. They are 14s. I took one of them off. I took the inner one off. I have the outer one just holding by a couple of threads. Same with that side. We have to set the spring, the preload for the rear. The preload for the rear is only 1/8 of an inch. To set the preload is pretty simple. You want to this is about 7 inches from the top to the bottom of the spring. So you want to adjust it by 1/8. So you're going to be turning. I want to make sure this is unlocked. This that way, and you want to push it in. So you can spin it. Double check. Okay. After this, so this was originally from the top to the bottom 7 inches. We adjusted it so it's 6 3/4. Put in the 5 millimeter hex key, hex bolt. Tighten that up. That should come out. This little pry bar action. These things are in there. Woo, that thing was in there. I'm gonna put this wire through a dampening control through the top. If you can have an assistant pull it out, and then slowly raise the strut up. It's always nice to have somebody help. That way they can bolt in the shock tower. A little bit is fine. Okay. Now that it's held in by one of the nuts from the top, one of the 14 millimeters from the top, the tricky part is over here when you're trying to guide this piece into the original position. Putting some anti-seize here. Then we're gonna line it up. Putting some anti-seize here. Then we're gonna line it up. We're gonna line it up with the jack to see how close we can get it so that it's relatively straight. And then we're gonna see if we can just push it in with the hammer. I think that looks pretty straight. hold it straight with one hand. Once you have it relatively in, you can just give it a few bigger taps. Looks almost good to me. I mean, always put the bolt through there to test it. If it's not, tap it a little bit more. Alright, so we got it through. Took just a bit of convincing, but we're just going to take it out now that it's all lined up. We also have to put this control arm in. It's quite a bit of metal to metal contact. Okay, there we go. Remember that when you're securing this to 52 foot-pounds, you want to make sure you secure the top shock mount to 33 foot-pounds, the 14 millimeter bolts up there to 14 foot-pounds. And this is the recommended way from Fortune Auto. You basically take a flathead, put it on a towel, put it against it, and give it a few taps. Otherwise it won't lock. So if you want to lock this bottom one, it's clockwise, so this way, towel, put it into the groove. I found that the bottom you can actually use the wrench to lock it, but we're gonna lock it the way that Fortune Auto has intended. So basically, there you go. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. Thank you guys for watching to the end of this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.